How you doing today, Jayson?
Hey, Tyrone, how are you, my friend? Missed you.
Man, missed you too, man. I'm glad to have you back. I'm so excited. A lot to talk about with the Phillies, but we start this year like we always do with the Outstanding Stat of the Week.
Just that little intro. Yeah, I wrote a piece a couple weeks ago examining whether the Phillies' arrow was pointing up or pointing down, or whether it was actually a little of both. Why don't we do the beer mug is half full numbers? Okay, make us all feel better. Just a few things that I discovered there. First of all, the Phillies are the first team in the history of the National League to increase its win total in 6 straight full seasons. Find that amazing. Here's another one. Since the start of the 2022 postseason, the Phillies have won more games than any team in the sport except the Dodgers. The only teams that have won 200 games or more in that time are the Dodgers at 210 and the Phillies with 202. And then there's October. No team in baseball has won more games or more series in the postseason over the last 3 years than the Phillies. That's 18 postseason games they've won, 5 postseason series they've won. Of course, as Bryce Harper said in the spring, they just haven't won the last one, and that last one kind of matters. But I think the reason to think about this, Tyrone, is I know there's this narrative out there that says they can't win in October, or they're not built for October. The facts seem to say the opposite. But all we remember is the parades, or the parades that you didn't get to ride in. And I understand it, but let me ask you guys, what should we be looking at, right? Should we be looking at all the winning or the games they didn't win at the end?
We've been saying all day, you have to consider the victories. The 95 wins last year, that counts just as much. You can't dismiss a 162-game season, in our opinion.
Yeah, exactly. The big pictures always tell us more than small samples in baseball. That's my point.
All right, here's the big picture. They have the 4th best odds to win the World Series, as you know. Where are the Phillies relative to the top of Major League Baseball?
Yeah, look, there's a reason that they have the 4th best odds to win the World Series. Ricky, as you know, the team that definitely has to clean up some stuff if it's going to win the World Series, at least with this core. But I'll say it again, big samples tell us more than small samples in baseball. And the bigger the sample, the better this team looks. That's also true of the projections. I think the outlook is bright. To be honest with you, I was just telling a friend of mine today, I'm actually more bullish on the Phillies' chances after spring training than I was going into spring training. I had my doubts about Max Kepler. He crushed the ball all spring, and he's really connected with Kevin Long. I had my doubts about Jordan Romano. He did not allow a run in the entire spring. His velocity was back up. His slider looked a lot more like it used to. I would say I was curious about Jesus Luzardo. I think he was as advertised. I think about all the guys who felt like they had a lot to prove going into this spring. Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Jose Alvarado. They all had fantastic springs. You know, Ricky, the quality of Brandon Marsh's at-bats was at a different level. Almost twice as many strikeouts as walks. Almost twice as many walks as strikeouts for that guy. That's a stat that Rob Thompson brought up to me when I asked about Brandon Marsh. And I did not see any pitcher on any team who was more unhittable or throwing harder than Jose Alvarado, who I think also is important as all of that is he's more fit than any version we've ever seen. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this is still a team with a win the World Series kind of roster. I don't know how many teams can say that. So now it's about health and focus and matchups in October. But my sense is this group knows exactly what's at stake because their legacy is at stake this year.
We're speaking with the Hall of Famer Jayson Stark, currently writing for The Athletic, also has the great Starkville podcast. Great to have actually two different Hall of Fames, Jayson Stark. Trey Turner, one of the things we've talked about with you actually for the last couple of years now is how we've gotten a good Trey Turner, but not a great Trey Turner. They think that putting him in the leadoff spot might unlock some of that greatness that he had when he finished third in the MVP voting, for example. But then there's also this angle where they may do against lefties have one lineup, against righties have a different lineup. So I guess it's a two-parter, Jayson. Part one, how do you feel about the leadoff spot unlocking the best Trey Turner, since we've had a good one but not the best one? And how do you feel about this possibility of changing the lineup based on a starting pitcher, something that Rob Thompson hasn't really done?
Well, Tyrone, I talked about this on the Hot Stove show with Ricky and Connor last week. So those guys know I would vote for Schwarber leading off. We've talked about it all last year. I think the left-right thing is just a way to let it play out a little bit and see where it leads them. But let's examine the motivation behind possibly leading Trey Turner off. That motivation is to change his mindset a little and have a more productive version of Trey Turner, who thinks more about getting on base and scoring runs at the rate that he always had early in his career. Look, the motivation is well-founded. They need that version of that guy. But here's the stat that I ran past Ricky and Connor last week. Trey, before the hamstring thing last season, was hitting over 340, on base over 390, OPS 850. Had only been thrown out stealing one time, and this team was on a pace to win 108 games. And then he got hurt. And he was hitting number 2 through that entire period. So let me ask you, Tyrone, was that about his place in the batting order or his hamstring, what we saw after that?
No, that's a tremendous point. They were just fine with him in the 2-hole until the hamstring, and then he was definitely ginger on it really the rest of the way.
He really was. Look, you guys know all the numbers about how good they've been with Schwarber leading off. So I understand the motivation both ways, but Trey Turner can still be that guy. And I don't think the whole whether he hits one, whether he hits two thing is really going to change that as much as we've heard it rationalized. But the entire thing, I think, is about sending a message to him about what it is they value and what it is they want him to value, period.
All right. Number one, we know the Phillies have a good rotation. They had a good rotation last year. But how good could this rotation be now? You got Jesus Luzardo coming in and Andrew Painter by July.
Yeah. I think the upside is best rotation in baseball. Obviously, we're assuming the big guns stay healthy. And Wheeler, Nola, they're all about taking the ball. You never know, but let's assume they do. They do. Then you've got Christopher Sanchez. So much buzz about that guy all spring, and with reason. Finished the spring, Ricky, with a 29% strikeout rate, meaning he was striking out close to one of every 3 hitters he faced. Cole Hamels never had a strikeout rate that good. Cliff Lee never did. Roy Halladay never did. So it means now you've got this swing and miss version of Christopher Sanchez that we've never seen. It could be spectacular if this is what he is. So then to get to the two guys that you asked about, Jesus Luzardo is a swing and miss machine. And it just feels to me like he is highly motivated by the chance to finally pitch for a team that's actually good. He's been with the Marlins and the A's his whole career. He's obviously got to stay healthy. That's a question. But when you think about all the retreads that they ran through the number 5 starter hole last year, and now you compare that group to Jesus Luzardo, what a difference. It's incredible to think about what a difference that could make. And then at some point, Andrew Painter. Ricky, this guy's going to be Garrett Cole, honestly. And I just wonder about how patient the Phillies can be about getting into the big leagues if they have any injuries early in the rotation. But I know they feel like they've got the best rotation in the big leagues. The Dodgers and Mariners would love to be in that debate, but I'm not sure they're wrong. And a lot of it is about those two guys who were not there at any point last year.
Wow, Jason, really appreciate the time as usual. And one last thing, I know we're running a little late. You've been great. You mentioned you usually need 9 or 10 guys to get through a season starting. It does feel refreshing when you know one of the extra arms you just described as being Garrett Cole versus, no disrespect, some of the guys that started last season. That makes me feel good if I know I need 9 or 10 guys, that one of them has the potential to be a star.
Yeah, exactly. What a weapon he's got a chance to be. We'll have to watch his innings.
Yeah.
We know that. But when Andrew Painter arrives, that's a signature event in the summer in Philadelphia sports. So that is happening. Just start the countdown whenever you feel like that would be fun.
Man. Well, you know what, Jason? Thank you so much. I know you're down in Florida, busy. Appreciate you starting us off so well. And we got baseball tomorrow. Thanks so much.
That's right. Great to talk to you guys again. Thanks.
All right. That was the Hall of Famer, Jayson Stark. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you know you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.